Neonic Void Productions presents.
Living.
Yay.
Yay.
We're cooking with fire now.
Oh my god. God,
we cooking today.
That took like 20 fucking minutes. No, a half an hour.
We're cooking today, ladies.
Oh,
what's good? What's popping?
God.
And welcome to Spookocalypse.
God. Ugh.
I am your host. I was about to say host and DM. God damn it. I am one of your hosts, Zio. I'm about to say my real name, Zio. What's good? What's popping? And today I'm joined with, who are you people?
Mad Chairman, also known as Professor X.
Oh,
Leave. Leave.
I'm about to make a roll. I was about to make a rolled out joke and I can't. I can't. I'm done.
So I'm Bunyip and I don't need special superpowers. Yet.
With that voice, you have power of charisma.
For real.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm housekeeper. I'm just a regular person. I have no superpowers either.
This just makes me better than all of you then.
That's fine.
It's okay. Housekeeper can be like Mirabelle from Encanto. Just like brings the family together. Has no power, but brings the family together.
I love that.
Anyway.
Well, you don't like that movie?
No, I love that movie. No one talk about Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno. Anyway, housekeeper, take it away.
All right. If you like this podcast, make sure you follow and rate us on whatever site you listen to your podcast. Share with your friends. New episodes get uploaded every Saturday. Links are down in the description for other podcasts that are part of the Neonic family. Follow us on Twitter. Our handle is at Spookocalypse. That's at SPOOKOCALYPSE. I'm pretty sure you guys are getting tired of this, but we also have a YouTube. If you guys are listening to us on YouTube, hi, welcome. Hello. If you're listening to us on other sites, we do have a YouTube channel. You will be able to listen to this podcast and the other podcasts that are part of our little family here.
Yes.
Yeah. So we do spooky shit, and mints are on the pillow.
Today's flavor mint is birthday cake because, I mean, it's not... okay, breaking the fourth wall. We're recording this February 21st. But this episode is going to get released this Saturday before my birthday. Woo!
Yay!
You're old.
I'm going to bite.
I turned 31.
I'm going to... Oh, my God.
Welcome to the club.
I got to get you an over-the-hill cake.
Over-the-hill cake? If it's red velvet, I don't care. Do what you want. I love red velvet. Anyway, yes, this will be the episode that we posted on the what's that Saturday before the 25th, 26th, 25th.
Yeah.
And my birthday will be on that Tuesday, the 28th. So this is the week. This is the Saturday before. So woo! And of course, the movie we're talking about today, I picked because why not? It's been on the list forever, and I am a hoe for the superhero films, especially the X-Men. So today we're talking about the movie New Mutants. Ooh, yay!
New Mutants.
So the New Mutants was released in August 28th, 2020. Released by 20th Century Studios, what used to be 20th Century Fox. But this film was basically made before Disney acquired Fox. Mm-hmm. And Disney released it after the acquisition. Yeah. So the film was directed by Josh Boone. Boone?
Boone.
Boone. Wait, did every... Hold up. Am I tripping? Did we already talk about Josh Boone before? Or am I just tripping? Did we? The
No.
name sounds familiar.
He's developed teleplay for and created the Stan miniseries, the new one, The Pretenders,
You
All
know-
We Had, Stuck in Love.
The Fault in Our Stars.
Faults in Our Stars. Okay.
Yeah, but not on this podcast at least. We haven't
Yeah,
talked-
not on this. I'm like, did I cover New Mutants and not even know it? No, I didn't. Okay. I thought it was like Josh Boone. That sounds familiar. Am I losing it? But yeah, so this film was directed by Josh Boone. The other film he's a fairly new director. I would say the only other film he did that's notoriety is The Fault in Our Stars.
Yeah.
Back in 2014.
Sad
Um
movie.
Yeah, he basically does a lot of romance dramas for the most part, and then randomly decided to want to do the New Mutants.
Makes sense.
Choice, but okay. The film was written by Josh Boone and
Nate Lee.
Yeah. Of course, this is based on the New Mutants from Chris Claremont and Bob McLeod. McLeod.
Is that how you pronounce his name? Hold on. I don't want to pronounce it wrong. Oh, it doesn't say.
But Chris Claremont, amazing, icon, comic book fucking legend.
McLeod.
McLeod. The production companies obviously were 21st Century Fox / 21st Century Studios. Marvel. This movie was in association with Marvel Entertainment. Kimberg Genre, Sunswept Entertainment, and TSG Entertainment. Now, just because Marvel Entertainment's name is listed on there doesn't mean that I don't think they had any say of the production itself. It's just a Marvel property that was licensed from them to Fox because late 90s was tough times for Marvel, so they sold a bunch of properties and shit. X-Men happened to be one of them. But I know they were in association, so I'm sure they contacted the Marvel Entertainment like, hey, give us some background on these characters. That type of shit. So the budget was 67 to 80 million, and the box office was about 49.2 million.
Oh, no.
It didn't make its budget, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
This film, I remember when they first released the trailer back in the day. It was like 2018? 2018? Yeah, it was like 2018.
Probably 2019.
Well,
The year before.
It had to be before Stan Lee passed away because he was like executive producer on it.
Was he?
Yes, because me and
He's not listed.
I don't know why he's not, because we just watched it today, and my uncle was just like, Stan Lee, isn't he dead? And I was like, yes he is. But it said executive producer Stan Lee.
I don't see that anywhere.
That's weird.
It might have
In
been
the credits.
The trailer. I'm trying to see when the first trailer was released. The film was originally slated for September 2018, but then it was pushed back till God knows when. And then 2019, Fox was acquired by Disney, and then a bunch of reshoots, and then that's when they came out like 2 years later, in August of 2020. Now, production history. This movie was a production mess for God knows how long. The actors in this movie, before we get into it any further, you got Blue Hunt, who plays Danielle or Danny Moonstar / Mirage. Anna Taylor-Joy, Ileana Rasputin. One, honestly, in my opinion, the best character of this movie. Then you got, oh God, how do you say your first name?
Macy Williams.
Williams.
Oh, that's how you say Macy? Macy Williams, who plays Rain
Sinclair.
Sinclair, aka Wolfsbane. Then you got Henry Zaga, who plays Roberto or Bobby, which
Henry
is
Zaga.
Henry Zaga,
Henry.
who plays oh, but yeah, he plays Sunspot. And then of course you got Charlie Heaton, who plays Cannonball, Alice Braga, right?
I have no idea where you're at.
Yeah,
I'm at the cast talking like right under Cannonball.
Oh, I see. Yeah, Dr.
Harley,
Reyes.
yeah,
Alice
Dr.
Braga.
Moon. Yeah, honestly, Dr. Reyes in this movie, I mean, we'll get into it. It's kind of a butchering of the character, but that's my opinion. Then you got Happy Anderson, which plays.
The Reverend for.
That's who it was.
Yeah.
Oh, the Reverend. I was like, Happy playing the Reverend. Okay, you got the Smiley Man, which. First off, I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, the physical person was played by Dustin Seathammer, but
And
the
Marilyn
voice.
Manson was the voice.
Yeah.
Of who?
Of the Smiling Man.
Smiley
Who?
Man.
Oh my god.
The Ileana's nightmares.
Abusers.
Yeah.
The discount bye mans.
That fits so well.
And you
Oh
got
my
the
God.
man who played Danny's father, Adam Beach.
Yeah.
Who plays William Lone Star. So Lone Star. So
Moonstar?
what's his Lone Star?
Oh.
Okay, well, I can't screenshot it, but I loaded up the movie at exactly an hour and 27 minutes. It says executive producer Stan Lee as the top.
What?
When
Yes,
did Stanley die?
In the middle of the movie?
I don't know, but it's saying executive producer Stan Lee. I know how to read.
I mean, he's just not listed anywhere like on the credits as
Well,
far as
that's
the
a
internet's
fucking
concerned.
crime, and they need to put his name on there.
It wouldn't make sense because he died November 12th, 2018. So the production of the film was pretty much shot and everything by then. It was supposed to be released by then too, but
Yeah, but COVID.
He could have been.
not
I mean,
COVID reshoots.
Hmm.
Because the film was supposed to be back released in 2018. COVID wasn't an issue till 2020.
2019.
2020.
The end of 2019, yeah.
Yeah, ish. Yeah. Didn't get really public until the beginning of 2020.
Yeah, well, that's when everything went in lockdown, but it
Yeah.
started in 2019.
Lockdown was 2020, yeah. But nonetheless, this movie was in production hell.
This poor movie.
This poor movie. Because basically, so here's the tea of this movie. So Josh, the director, wanted to go more of an ooky, spooky horror direction with it, right? The studio's like, nah, we don't want that. So they went with the studio's approach to the movie from what I understand. But then when they released the trailer of the new Mutants, because of the success of It, Warner Brothers movie It, they made the first trailer more of a horror film vibe. It centered in more on the horror elements of the movie rather than the superhero elements. And obviously that got great reception because people were excited about this movie in the beginning, like hardcore. And then that's when Fox was like, oh shit. You know what, Mr. Boone? Let's do the movie of your vision. Let's do that. But production was pretty much already done or close to it. So that's where all the countless reshoots and shit came in. And that's why there's some parts of the film seems very much out of place because the film was shot to be one way, but then they did a bunch of reshoots to have it be to be something completely different.
That makes sense.
Because the studio because Josh Boone and the studio wanted something different, altogether. They wanted different things in the beginning. They got basically the studio got what they wanted, and then they're like, "Oh no, we wanted it to be more horror." Josh Boone, baby, you want to I don't know, do some reshoots? Let's make this more scary. And then Josh Boone's like, "Okay, I guess." So, because they're basically done editing the film, and then Fox saw the positive outlook on the first trailer, and that's when we're like, oh shit, we need to go backwards. So that's where all the mess came in with that. So keep that in mind. And then of course, when Disney acquired it, Disney kind of slated that movie for quite a while, and we weren't even sure if it was even going to get released, honestly, because Disney wasn't talking about it or even acknowledging it.
That's probably why it went so bad. Like, it didn't meet budget.
Not the fact that it met budget. Of course, Disney only had one thing on their mind, or several things on their mind when it came to Fox. They wanted their cut, 20th Century's Fox, they wanted their cut of Hulu. They wanted, obviously, the Fantastic Four and the X-Men rights back, as well as there's a few other things that they wanted out of it. But the main thing was, I think they wanted their share of Hulu and the X-Men and Fantastic Four back from Marvel. That was supposedly, from what I understood, the main purpose of why they bought Fox in the first place, is for those things.
Oh, is that why Hulu made the Runaways?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. And because Disney is on a mission to get to own 100% of Hulu, which they will I think next year when they get the last part of Hulu, that I think Universal is the other one that owns the other part of Hulu. And I think after next year, they'll officially have complete control of Hulu. Because right now they made the deal, but they're waiting for everything to clear. So I think it'll be next year when Hulu will be officially just Disney, owned by Disney. So I think eventually they're going to merge Hulu and Disney Plus together. That's why you have all these weird, some of the films some of the projects that they be releasing will be on Hulu, but outside the United States, it's on Disney Plus, because it's the whole Hulu Disney Plus thing in the States. So I think eventually they're supposedly they're going to merge the two, so it can be like Disney Plus outside the country. Nonetheless, that's part of the reason why they bought Fox. So when they got Fox and they saw all these X-Men projects that were either in production, post-production, or in pre-production, they canceled all the pre-production stuff, all the future stuff and future plans of the Fox X-Men films, scrapped, done, peace. The only thing that they kept was obviously Deadpool 3. And of course the New Mutants was kind of up in the air if they were even going to release that or not. They did, but their main problem is cool, we got our shit back. Now give it to Marvel.
With Deadpool 3, that's like a whole fucking can of worms I don't think they wanted to fucking deal with.
Well, they kept Deadpool 3 because Deadpool was the, outside of Logan, it was the most profitable two films from the Fox X-Men line outside of Logan.
Well, yeah, because it was literally a passion project.
Yes, but
it was true to the character.
But Kevin Feige already had plans for Deadpool going into it in the first place, so it wasn't that surprising that they kept Deadpool and they're going to make Deadpool 3. But everything else they could completely just scrapped. But yeah, New Mutants is up in the air. I think Disney did fund a bunch of reshoots, and they wanted to try and save this movie. From what I can understand, back in 2019, when Disney acquired Fox, they watched the executives watched the film, and they're not impressed by the original cut. They were not impressed at all.
I'm curious on what it was.
Right? And they didn't but additional work was completed since Disney acquired it to align the film with Boban's original vision. So again, Disney picked up where Fox left off on trying to give the director his original vision when Fox didn't give it to him in the first place. Mm-hmm. So Disney, they did a bunch of test screenings, and the changes were positive for the most part, but then they kind of started, the changes also included removing connections to the X-Men films, because I guess the New Mutants were obviously supposed to more connect to the X-Men themselves outside of that one reference. But they took a bunch of those scenes out too. So there's a lot of back and forth and Disney trying to save this movie since Fox basically failed it. So they tried their best and then eventually they just like, here you go. They released it. So, and then there was this whole debacle that they thought that there was an error and that apparently there was one of the sites mentioned that on D23, sorry, that New Mutants was supposed to be part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And they're like, no, that was an error. So there was a whole, people were freaking out about that too, including myself. Cause I was like, why not just put the New Mutants film in the MCU? Makes perfect sense, which honestly, that's what I would have done.
It doesn't fit the storyline.
Yeah.
No, but it could have. It could easily have done it.
Well, they have like a whole ass like storyline planned, and it wouldn't have fit in properly. Like they would have had to like weasel them in somewhere, because not once has the mutants been mentioned until recently in a recent Marvel film, and that was very rare. And you saw how that ended.
Well, there was 2 instances within the last year or so that they mentioned the mutants, Miss Marvel, and of course Namor. Those two are confirmed mutants.
There's another movie.
What movie?
Excuse me, fucking Doctor Strange. Fucking Professor X was in that movie, if you don't remember.
That was not the MCU's Professor X, so that doesn't matter. And they never mentioned a mutant for him in the first place.
Well, what I'm saying is though is that it was meant like it's kind of hinted, and technically it's just a different world.
It's not the MCU's universe. It's a part of the multiverse. Yes. So that doesn't really count. But in the MCU itself, the only 2 mutants have been confirmed and said on screen is Miss Marvel, which they changed from a human to a mutant. Then of course
you cut out.
So they mentioned Miss Marvel.
Yes.
Yeah, you're
and
loud
then
enough.
Namor. Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no, but like you're talking and then it just cut, like you go silent, completely silent. And then you just like it picks up like right where you left off. So
yeah,
I think you're messing with a cord or something, like you're touching something. Just be careful,
bitch. I'm sorry, headphone users. Anyway,
I'm gonna edit all that out. But no, the 2 mutants that they confirmed was Miss Marvel and Namor so far.
Okay,
but they could have,
because they have now, that gives them a chance for them to actually introduce more mutants in there and actually get started with the X-Men side of the Marvel universe. And I think that's how they're going to do it, because that's how they did it at the beginning with Phase 1, was that they started off with kind of popular heroes and then introduced like B-side heroes and made them into very popular heroes, and they continued to do that, and that's what they've been continuing to do. I watched a lot of film theory over the weekend, man. I'm sorry. I was sick. There was nothing else to watch, so I was literally watching Matt Pat for like hours.
Oh God.
I think obviously this film should have been shelved for a while or completely reshot and repurposed. If they took out some particular scenes that mentioned either the X-Men or mutants in general and just changed some of the wording, this film would have fit just fine and just kept it ambiguous of what they are. Yeah. Honestly, I would change some of the story just in general and been like, hey, you guys have these abilities. We don't know why you're having these abilities, and we're going to stick you here in this facility. That would have been cool. They just did all that, took out every reference to mutant, the X-Men, kept the Essex like logo and the name and all that in there to reference Mr. Sinister, which, by the way, if I see, because I've been watching all the old X-Men movies again, if I see one more goddamn reference to Mr. Sinister and not see Mr. Sinister, I swear to God, Kevin Feige, if you're listening to this fucking podcast, I better not see a fucking reference to Mr. Sinister unless that gay fucking mutant faggot is on the goddamn screen. Do you
God.
understand me?
Chill.
I will take that. I will take that part out. But you better
my
show
God.
me
Just bleep
some
it,
goddamn.
bleep it.
Yes,
Bleep it.
I'll bleep that shit because Kevin Feige, I swear to fucking God, you don't show you Mr. Sinister, I'm about to riot because this is getting ridiculous. So many references in the past, like all the X-Men films of Mr. Sinister.
I'm
Just-
sure to get
I'm
you
so
off your
mad.
rant, get you off your rant. I'm sure that even if they did keep it ambiguous, that like true like X-Men fans would know.
Well, yes, that's. I mean, that's the
Because-
point.
Because of the fact of like how they are being treated.
Yeah,
Because
no, straight up.
everybody knows if you are an X-Men fan how mutants are treated. It's a very racist style, like tip.
X-Men represent all minority groups
They really do.
of race, sexuality,
Mhm.
the whole work, gender, the whole works.
And if you really look at it, like that facility could be looked at as like a camp of
Yep.
conversion.
Yeah,
And
that's what
other
I was
things.
thinking. Conversion therapy. Yeah,
I was just all like, ugh.
straight up.
I was just like, bless my parents for never sending me to one of those camps. But I saw that and I was like, ugh.
Especially with two of the characters being obviously gay
Hell yeah.
in some form, shape, or form, which they did more for those characters on the screen for being gay than the comic books were allowed to do. So I'm like, props. The director obviously had it in his mind, like, we're going to make Danny Moonstar fucking gay. That's a goddamn lesbian. We're
And
going to
they
make her
didn't-
one.
And they didn't die. I
They
call
didn't
that
die.
progress.
I smell progress.
It's like, what? And no Jimmy attached to you? I call that progress.
God damn. And one of them was a Catholic. Which,
Not just
okay.
a Catholic, an Irish.
Yes,
Catholic.
An Irish
Well,
Catholic.
not even Irish. First off, she's Scottish.
Sorry.
Oh.
Not
And
as Catholic.
secondly, she shouldn't be Catholic. She should be Protestant because the Catholics are not, the Scottish are more notably Protestant than Catholic.
Okay, because I actually thought she
So,
was Irish too, and this is where
No.
my problem with the accents really comes in.
Yeah,
No,
because I was like,
Wolfbane, no, Wolfbane is religious, but I think she's more, let me look. Let me double check
No,
before I
she's
start
Catholic.
spewing.
She's
She's
Catholic.
Catholic?
Catholic.
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
You don't have confessionals or fathers.
I mean, in
Yeah.
the movie, she's
In
Catholic,
Protestant,
but
yeah.
Yeah, she's just like, I'm gonna give 3 Hail Marys, and I was just all like,
Yeah,
that's some Catholic ass bullshit.
well, in the movie, she's Catholic, but I don't think she is in the comics. But she is Scottish. She's a Scottish mutant.
Oh my god, that fits with the reference even more.
Let's see. Yeah, she's from the Highlands, the North Highlands of Scotland.
Wow.
It doesn't say what religious she was, but I'm pretty sure, 90% sure she was not Catholic, but I get why if that was the case, they made her Catholic in the movie. It makes more sense than having I don't know.
No,
I
she's
guess.
Catholic.
She's in the comics too?
Yes, because it's saying Reverend Craig is actually her biological father, and her mother had been an adult worker.
Catholics don't have reverence.
They don't
Reverend's
have
the
reverence.
Reverend's
Yeah,
the
that's
Protestant
Protestant.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So she was a Protestant.
And she was recruited by Professor X.
Yeah. So, and I'm not even gonna get to Wolfbane because that's a problematic character on her own. So I'm
Who?
glad the movie. Well, there's this whole thing where she became a teacher in the Xavier school, and she dated a student. Don't
Okay, no,
don't
we're
look into
here to
it.
talk about the movie. We're here to
Don't
talk
look
about
at-
the movie.
Yeah, I
Don't
was
look
about
into
to
it.
say,
It's fucking weird.
Are we gonna start
Wait,
talking about the plot
who
now?
are you talking about?
We can talk about it after the recording.
No, who are you
Wolfman.
talking about?
Wolfbane, the Scottish mutant. There's a whole history with her. I'm glad they used her, and they kind of saved that character because in the comics she's kind of butchered. The writers kind of ruined her. Anyway,
So the movie.
the movie.
The
I
movie.
mean, this is all in context because of the New Mutants. So, but nonetheless, they're all kids in this facility that I can't tell if they're. Do they ever say where they're located? Because I remember when I
No.
first watched the
No.
movie, they mentioned Mexico, that they're located in Central America. But I watched the movie again. I'm like, they don't say that. I'm like, did they ever say that where they were located?
No.
No.
They say the nearest town is 40 miles away or something like that.
Unless
20
she's
miles.
lying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the only
got
like
it.
location that you kind of get.
Yeah.
So, to start this movie off on this wondrous journey, we meet Danielle or Danny Moonstar, which is a young,
Cheyenne.
Cheyenne. I was like,
Yeah,
how do you pronounce?
like
I don't want to
Cheyenne
butcher it.
Native American.
Yeah, Cheyenne Native American. She's living with her father and their tribe on their reservation. As she wakes up in the middle of the night to a storm happening outside, where there's like a tornado blasting through and killing off everybody. But I'm sorry, you can kind of tell that's not a tornado. That's what her father says, but it's obviously not. So her and her father run off, and they're one of the few survivors that escape. And he takes her to the woods, and he hides her into like a little hole in the tree.
Mhm.
And he runs off to try to save whoever else he could find. And then you hear a bunch of like growling and roaring noises, and it's large animal. And her father falls in front of her, and of course he's dead. Danny falls unconscious after that, but then she awakens in a hospital with Dr. Reyes, who comforts Danny, explaining that she is not an ordinary human, but rather has unique mutant DNA. Sus.
Also, someone looking through the vents briefly.
Yep. You see somebody that's looking in the vents, kind of
We don't
watching.
know who it is yet.
Not
I
gonna
mean-
lie. Not gonna lie, growing up, that was like one of my biggest fears is seeing a face in like the air vents. And so like
Don't
seeing that,
worry.
I was
It's
like,
just a-
"Ooh."
Don't worry. It's just a lesbian. You're fine.
Oh man, I
Waiting
wish
for
a
later.
lesbian was in my air vents. Like, can I
It's
have
just
that,
a-
please?
A lesbian in the air vents. That's gonna be the name of the episode. There's a lesbian in the air vents.
I need one. Where can I get me a lesbian in the air
Oh
vents?
God! So she wakes up in the hospital.
Sounds like a Goosebumps book.
Or Dracula doesn't drink pink lemonade. Anybody?
Oh my God! I hate it here. So she meets Dr. Reyes. She tells her, "You have unique mutant DNA." And then, of course, she advised her to remain at the hospital. Like, hey, if you stay here, we'll help you. I'll help you, and we'll learn what your mutant, what this thing is, and how to control it.
I don't
AKA,
think she invites them. Didn't
well, she advises her to remain here. She's like, hey, you should stay here. Kind of giving her the option of like, hey, you should stay here. In reality, it's more like you're staying here, but she's
Yeah.
giving her the false option of, hey, you should stay here. Like she has a choice
Yeah.
because of her boss and her higher ups, anyway. So
she never
for
mentions until
later.
later.
So Danny is then introduced to 4 other teenagers that she is rooming with. You got Sam, Liliana, Bobby, and Rain.
Bobby.
Bobby. And this Bobby is not Iceman gay boy Bobby.
Oh yeah.
That's a closeted gay. That was a closeted gay for years. But we're talking about Bobby, aka Sunspot.
Oh, is
Love
that
him.
who he was? Okay.
Yeah, he was Sunspot. So Reyes brought each of them to the hospital, which, okay, side note, how she get Liliana? How'd she get her?
No,
I would
fuck.
think Miss Rasputin would be a problem.
I feel like Ileana was rescued more like
Quote unquote.
it's quote unquote rescued from her previous situation, which is why she's there.
Yeah.
I guess, but I would think she'd be a more difficult one to keep in there. Anyway.
Maybe. But yeah, the only like other
You know,
like so
You say that and now I have questions.
oh, gosh.
There's plot holes. There's like this doesn't make sense now.
So there's no plot holes. I'll explain things that are not explained in the movie that were heavily hinted at. Anyway, so Reyes brought all of these teens here, and to kind of help them, they each have either experienced or had an accident or horrific tragedy in some way. For example,
Trauma.
Bobby, some form of trauma. Bobby and Sunspot set somebody on fire, burned them to a crisp. I think it was a girl that he mentions, a girlfriend. You got Sam, which is Cannonball, and he was in a mining accident where mutant power manifested, and he caused a collapse in a mine. Liliana, it's not really her power that brought her here. She has horrific trauma dealing with these smiley men, which little backstory on Liliana, and trigger warning, hardcore trigger warning with Liliana's backstory. She was, as a baby, she ended up in limbo, which is basically hell, right? And she grew up in limbo, and she was also hard R word by a bunch of demons. She was a prisoner of demons. So the smiley men are a reference to those demons, demon lords. She has a very rough backstory, and it's the way, and it's part of the reason why she is the way she is. So
I didn't pick that up that she was in limbo. I thought she was in the real world and that she was actually hard R, and then her nightmares were just like the smiling. I thought the smiling men were just like a childish what's it called? Like trying to. No. Like the way you're trying as a child, you try to make things a little.
You try to make sense of what happened.
Sense of it, yeah.
Well, in the movie, it kind of makes it seem like she was in the real world the whole time, and that the smiling men are just people.
Yeah.
But all in all, the story is a reference to how she ended up in limbo as a child, and she was stuck with demons, but limbo, and here she utilizes limbo as a escape, as her imaginary place with her dragon Loki.
And
her dragon puppet.
Space.
I love the dragon.
I know.
Dragon!
They obviously changed the story a bit, but they kept the whole hard R thing, the trauma, the heavy trauma, but they just made it more grounded in the real world, and that limbo was a place for her to escape to without realizing it, even regardless if she knows it or not, that limbo was an actual place. So, and then of course the hand puppet, she has Loki, that obviously there's a whole, what is it? That's a common thing, right? With
victims,
and Loki, because you kind of get the impression that Loki is an imaginary friend that she created to help her through the trauma. To help her through the trauma and stuff. So that's the kind of impression you get. You're like, oh, cool. She has a friend named Loki that she always has with her. It's like a little hand puppet. It's cute. Love him. So from there, Sam collapsed the entire mine, including his father. Co-workers killed them all. Roberto killed his girlfriend, burned her to death. Rain escaped her Catholic village by killing the priest after he branded her as a witch, because she can turn into a wolf, werewolf, literal wolf, some form of the two. Yeah, she could turn to an actual full-fledged wolf, but she can also kind of do like a in between. She's not like Werewolf by Night where she turns into a full werewolf, but she can go between like a human and a wolf. But at the end of the day, she could turn to an actual like wolf. So she's kind of like, she takes it a little step further than Werewolf by Night did for the MCU, but in the context of this movie. So she was branded as a witch. So she has a big old like a scar on her that's in the shape of a W. Liliana, of course, is childhood abuse. And
okay, so you are laying all this out, but in this scene, they actually only ever go over Rain's backstory.
Yeah, the rest of it's kind of implied.
Yeah, that kind of pissed me off because later on in the movie there has a shower scene and Danny goes and sees the W and she's like, "Oh, what's that?" I'm like, they literally just told you what that was. Like, she's like, "Oh, I thought that's a cool brand."
It's like nice body art. It's like it's
but nice body art. Yeah.
It's not
like
what
is
not
the
my
ink
idea.
was ink not good enough or like
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck, bro?
Like she literally explained it in the girl's first official meeting. Like,
yeah.
To be fair, if she was raised on a reservation, she probably doesn't know about like Catholic villages and how the fuck they are.
True. But at the same time, it's like they did tell you, so it kind of came off as like, did she even listen?
Which I have a problem with the representation as well from the fucking reservation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But from these traumatic events, trauma, whatever, they started showing signs of their mutant abilities, of course. So Roberto or Bobby can manipulate solar energy. Sam can fly at jet speed, as well as other things. Well, jet speed that they displayed in the comics. I mean, the movie. Ileana has interdimensional sorcery powers, which... I mean, that's like the too long didn't read it explanation of her mutant abilities, but I get why they did. Obviously not going to go hardcore into it. How are you going to explain that? Like, how are you going to explain the sword that she's holding is her soul?
She has 20 abilities altogether.
Yeah, she has a lot. But that sword, how is a common moviegoer going to be like, oh yeah, that sword right there? Yeah, that sword is her literal soul.
It's
and you're just like, oh, because that makes sense, right? So I see why they kind of kept her as like, oh, sorcery. Oh,
I like how they describe it here as eldritch armor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, work.
Because technically she's also the sorcerer supreme of Limbo.
Yeah. Yes, she is.
She's a Doctor Strange. She's Doctor Strange's protege. Love her. My favorite character. One of my favorite mutants. Anyway, so Reyes from there shows she also has some powers, and she's a very powerful mutant. She can manipulate plasma energy force fields, preventing the 5 of them from leaving the facility. Which again, you're soon to find out. I have some questions about that because, like, how far does her abilities of keeping them there work? Because there's one person that can just like, I'm going to leave. Oop, and
yeah. There's two of them could just do that.
2 of them? Only one of them could do that.
No, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Only one of them can.
But she can open up a portal for everybody, like, let's get the fuck out of here. Let's close popsicle stand.
That is my question. Like,
we'll get to it. We'll get to it when she starts manifesting her powers.
Reality, then why?
Back in.
She could literally open up a portal to the other side of the stupid force field and leave. Did it not occur to her?
I mean, teenager, I guess. So collectively, the 5 believe that they are being trained to join the X-Men. I kind of see that they were kind of joking about it.
Yeah, they were. They were like, but what if?
What if? Because hence all of the strict supervision. And Reyes warns them that they are all considered dangerous. It should not leave until they have mastered their superhuman abilities, which she's fucking lying. And you know she's fucking lying, but whatever.
And then they get moved on to the next facility.
Right. This is when Danny does her first attempt to try to piece the fuck out. But of course, she runs straight into this force field because she gets egged on by like Ileana. She's like, "Hey, run, let's go! You got it, dude."
I mean, the first like 3/4 of this movie, Ileana was a little racist, like
just a bit,
making stereotypes of Danny. Yeah. No, she called her Pocahontas.
I know she did.
Yeah.
It's like, girl, we can't forget that. It's like, Ileana, give Danny the prop. She's a Valkyrie currently in the comics. Give that woman some props. She earned it. You don't call her Pocahontas. What the fuck? I was just like, damn, this movie does not age well. But
no, it didn't.
The writing who told Boone that was okay to do all that? Anyway.
I mean, it's on brand with X-Men.
I mean, to display minorities thing, yeah, I guess, yeah. But within their own ranks,
no.
Questionable. I would understood if Reyes did some comment like that, or one of there's other personnel to make that comment, sure. But coming from another mutant, that's a bit.
Reyes was also a mutant.
Yes, but it would make more sense because she's a mutant working for something that I will talk about later on why that's a terrible thing. She's working against her own kind.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I would have understood. It would make more sense for someone like if there was other personnel there to make a Pocahontas
we really
comment.
Jump all over the place with this plot.
Yeah.
They kind of do. Yeah. Yeah, we have.
But this movie kind of does the same thing. Like, they kind of jump back and forth.
And all of it does make sense. It's just the context of it and kind of more fleshing it out because the movie sure didn't. So from there, Danny tries to escape, stop by the force field. And she finds out, that's surrounding the whole hospital grounds, obviously. And then she plans to jump from the church clock tower, which Rain obviously comes in and talks her down. And that's where you kind of get the hint, the little sprinkle of, that's when the hinting of those two kind of starts. Rain gets her off the clock tower, and the two begin to form a romantic relationship from that point throughout the movie. From there, Liliana apologizes to Danny, who then Danny also discovers that she has that hand puppet of a purple dragon named Lockheed.
I love that dragon.
I know. Soon the group all begin to have their horrific visions of their past tragedies. And all these happen throughout the film during either when Danny's sleeping or if Reyes is doing tests and experiments with Danny. Because Reyes, they're still trying to figure out what her mutant power is. Because it's not quite clear on what it is. And all these weird things are happening to the other kids.
And whenever they happen, they have the security camera say that, psionic energy is detected. Further investigate mutant powers.
It's getting dangerously high.
Yeah,
exactly. So they're not quite sure what's causing all these, except for one person. Ileana does end up figuring it out because she has her suspicions on who it is, and then she does point it out. But they start experiencing all these visions and illusions. While Danny is here. From there, they start experiencing tragedies like Sam experiences the minefield. Ileana experiences the smiley men that walk around and shit in the facility. Bobby has a whole scene with him in a pool where you think he's talking to Ileana, but then he turns his back to her and a burnt crispy hand comes up and screams at him. He thinks he burnt her to a crisp. There's a plethora of. There's also one with the priest that the priest gave Rain another brand, which actually
on the face
did. Yeah. So these illusions are very much physically there. So whatever's happening with Danny, she's really having some she has a very powerful mutant ability. And they're just trying to figure out what it is or what's causing it or whatever. So from there, both Ileana and Reyes disputes that the visions are resulted to Danny because Ileana is one that says it out loud to the group. She's like, I knew it. It's her. She's the one causing all this. Of course, Reyes kind of agrees, obviously, with all the experiments she's been doing. But they haven't quite figured out how her powers are manifesting themselves as these physical manifestations of fears, desires, or other thoughts from the people that are in the facility. Because all their fears and stuff are being displayed out. So somehow Danny is accessing all of that to everyone there, except for Reyes, because Reyes doesn't get any of these visions, which I find weird. Unless her mutant ability shields her from that too, which I guess could make sense, but they never explain it.
Yeah.
So from there, Reyes then contacts her employer, which is the Essex Corporation. God. And this is where we're going to get into the whole conversation of how Reyes is a betrayer of her own kind, because Essex Corporation is a corporation ran by Mr. Sinister, or Nathaniel Essex, which is a person, scientist, a eugenist who loves working with mutant genes, likes fucking around with them, experimenting with them. He likes to get the strongest mutants possible to fuck around with their DNA and see what he can do, or make his. Sometimes he has a plan of like making his own mutants, an army of mutants by fucking around with DNA, making like chimeras out of mutants and shit. So obviously he has his facility with Reyes working with them, a mutant, which I'm just like, girl, traitor. And she's learning about these kids and their powers and with the higher ups' permission, decide what to do with them, with either move them on to the next facility or terminate them. So from there, the Essex Corporation decides, no, we need to terminate Danny. She is too powerful, too much of a problem, terminate her. So she tries to kill Danny. And luckily, Rain was listening during the whole time. And Rain, being the lesbian in the air ducts, she comes down and starts and fucks up Reyes. She fucks her up. And I was like, you get her, girl. Get her. Fucks her up. Claws her in the face. Like, I love the fact that the way she just like, just claws the fuck out of her. And the marks, of course, this movie's rated R. So when you look at Reyes' face, you can see that the skin's kind of pulled apart. And it's like, oh, that's gross. I love it.
And I feel like this is also where like the whole editing thing comes into issue, because later on, Reyes is holding her side like she got stabbed, and I don't remember her getting stabbed. Do you?
Not stabbed. There's one scene, because when Rain comes down initially, she claws her in the face.
Yeah, because she's like on her shoulders and like just
yeah. And then Danny starts. Then there's a wide shot of Danny getting up from the bed she's laying on, and if you look, you can see Rain clawing at her chest and her side too. So Rain's kind of crawling around her and clawing the hell out of her everywhere. So it does show you for like a split second that she got her side, because she starts bleeding everywhere. But it's one of those, you gotta look for it.
Okay, I missed it.
So, but she does get her side, her face, her chest. Like, she really just fucks her up. Yeah. And then, of course, Danny saves her, and then she panics that her powers start going haywire. So Ileana and Sam are attacked by the physical manifestation of Ileana's childhood abusers, the Smiley Men. While Bobby tries to break through the hospital's barrier with his fire powers as Sunspot, right? Which has now contracted in what? Oh, so the barrier has gotten.
Yeah, now they're just trapped in the building.
Oh yeah, the building. Mm-hmm. So the barriers are now around the building itself instead of like the grounds. Mm-hmm. It kind of zeroed in. Danny then uses her powers to discover Reyes' true intentions before Rain. Obviously this is when they maul her and she leaves, because Danny figures it out on what's going on here. And then from there,
they all meet back up.
Yeah, they all meet back up. Because she finds out that Reyes was training them to be assassins for Essex. So Mr. Sinister has been looking for mutants to be his own personal assassins for whatever reason, dastardly deeds or whatever. And they deemed Danny to be too powerful and tried to kill her. So,
Yeah,
from,
they figure out they're being trained as assassins.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, we need to get out of here. How are we going to do that? We're going to kill Reyes.
But when that happens, Danny starts manifesting something else. She unleashes a big illusion of this demonic bear that comes up.
Yeah.
And this is a character known as Demon Bear. This is Danny's own fear manifested through her power with the true, which is what caused the problem in the beginning of the movie where Danny's father died, as well as her tribe, was because that she manifested her powers, and this demon bear was manifested from it. So she unintentionally killed everybody.
Yeah.
And she realizes that. And the bear is a reference to the necklace, because she has a necklace around her neck that her father gave her that has some context to her. So the bear is a representation from that necklace.
Yeah, it was like a story about a bear that brings a winter storm or something. For their tribe is like an old story. So.
Yeah. Reyes is then devoured by said bear, and then Danny goes unconscious. Rain tries to basically save her and Danny from the demon bear, and that's when Ileana decides to use her powers. She has the metal arm that you saw towards the beginning of the movie. You see the sword, and then she jumps through a portal to Limbo, that land that she talked about with Loki, her getaway, her escape from the trauma with this realm called Limbo. And she jumps through a portal and then falls from the sky with her sword. And Loki's not a puppet anymore. It's a purple dragon, which is, that's comics. But so that goes into the question. Couldn't Ileana just have left?
Probably.
She could just went in Limbo and then psych bitch, peace out. And then just go in Limbo and leave. Okay. I'm such confusing, much wow. So from there, they all try to fight off the demon bear as Rain tries to wake Danny up and save her. So then Loki starts battling the dragon. The dragon Loki starts battling the demon bear. Eventually, Sam and Bobby join the fight, as well as Rain. All to no avail, because the demon bear can't be taken down. So Danny is then visited by her father's spirit, who encourages her to face her fear. So she wakes up and confronts the demon bear, calming it. And she then kind of
she says, no, stop it. And then the bear's like, ooh.
Basically, okay, I'm sorry I killed your whole family and shit. My bad, bro. And then she dismantles the illusion as day breaks and the group leaves a now unshielded facility to find the nearest town. And that's the way the film ends. So it's kind of it's basically like reading a comic book. This movie has the same pace and awkwardness as like reading a 90s comic. Sometimes, because sometimes the 90s comic was very weird. So this is very much kind of like reading a comic book from the 90s, pretty much. So there's no end credit scene. It's just, they're like, let's just go. Not questioning anything. Or no, I'm sorry, if I was one of the characters, I would have been like, so, Ileana, couldn't you just leave? We could have just left a long time ago, right? Right? Oh, wow. That's neat. Wow, bro. And for those of you who don't know, Ileana is the younger sister to Colossus. That's in the Deadpool movies as well as the X-Men films. Weird family thing. The Rasputin family is all kinds of weird. Fun times for all. So, what is everyone's thoughts on this movie since we got the plot out of the way? Any questions or concerns or thoughts about the film?
let Bunyip go first. He hasn't gotten a chance to talk too much.
First of all, symbolism, we already know. If you've seen anything involving the X-Men, you pretty much know it's a big allegory for people being mistreated because they're different.
Yeah.
The only thing I can really talk about is what they tried to do with each character, such as Cannonball, who I recognize. I think he's from American Horror Story.
Is he?
Either him or someone else. He just looks like...
from Stranger Things.
He's in Stranger Things.
Yeah, he's in Stranger Things.
Okay. My bad.
You're good.
Anyway, Cannonball, in his backstory... I could not care less. He has a piece of coal from his dad. And it's like, I get it. He has to work in the mine because you don't really have a choice. But then he accidentally ends up killing everybody by manifesting his powers. And there's that allegory of like, do you know a baby rattlesnake is more dangerous than an adult rattlesnake because they don't know how to control their power? And it's like, well, I didn't really think about that. But I didn't feel compelled about Cannonball. I was a little more interested in Bobby and his manifesting of his heat powers when he accidentally got too hot during sex with his girlfriend. He burned her from the inside out.
Yeah. Things got a little extra crispy in there, huh?
And that,
oh God,
that was probably one of the more.
Stop.
That was probably one of the more frightening scenes when she's climbing out of the pool, approaching him like, "Whoa!"
It was so good.
You think that's a what's it? What's the word you just used? Oh my God. For premarital sex, because
fornication.
What's the word? I don't know.
Premarital sex.
No. Yeah.
What are you trying to get?
That's what they're alluding to. You shouldn't have premarital sex.
Oh, you're talking about abstinence?
Yes.
I guess it could be an allegory for that. A real fucked up one. You could interpret it as that. I would say. It makes sense. Because each one kind of has their own little allegory, kind of. So,
sort of.
Or their own little thing that references something else.
And then Rain being the devout Protestant in this case?
Well, Catholic. I looked it up. Apparently, reverend is a word that can be used for Catholic priests. It's just not common.
It's not common.
It's not common.
Okay. She's
Scottish. Because I remember them being called reverends as well whenever I went to Catholic church.
Okay. So Rain's religious. She even goes to confessional and she's like, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I masturbated twice this week." And I was like, "What? That's a sin?"
Yes, it is.
For Catholics,
yes, it is.
Yes, dude, having any type of pleasure in your life, you should not be enjoying your life at all. Your life is suffering.
You're supposed to hate yourself.
No, like
everything.
Yeah, literally, if you are having a better life than someone else, you are a horrible person, and you need to reflect on that and confess. Like life is suffering in the Catholic Church.
So looked it up of whooping in the comics. I want to ask the director, why did you change it from Protestant to Catholic? Just saying. Because I looked at the double check, but in the comics she was raised a Protestant because she's a Scotsman. But I'm like, why did you change that? You could have had, because Protestants, I would think, be a lot crazier in a different way. I think that would have worked, but I guess doing Catholicism would have. They tried to be more. Oh, a shocker! She's hardcore religious. Oh,
well, I think it's because it's more recognizable here in the States because Catholics are a bigger part of Christianity here, so people can understand it more, and people have left the church more from the Catholic Church. So people who have lived in that kind of lifestyle, they would recognize it a lot better than whatever the Protestants do.
That's some of the many changes that were changed in this movie for these characters. Anyway, continue on, Bunyip.
So as I was saying, as Rain probably is the best example of how the mutants are treated, because very religious and then treated in properly. Like, oh, you can turn into a wolf and you like girls? You're a witch. You're like, yeah.
I think she was extremely closeted in her village.
Mm-hmm. But Liliana, probably the bestest character in this entire movie.
Period.
Like, just Anya Taylor-Joy's acting for that, where they're like, does anyone want to open up about how they first manifested their power? And like, she doesn't say anything. She just has her doll, Lockheed, and she just like shakes its head. She's like, no.
Nope.
And she is desperate to have Lockheed with her at all times. Like when she gets into a fight with Danny, and then Danny just snatches it from her. He's like, give it back! And then they have their first fight, where she wields her sword. She's about to slam it down. Then Dr. Reyes intervenes.
Yeah.
And I think they had more. Maybe there was more detail in her backstory than compared to the others.
Yeah, I would say it looked like it. Yeah.
But I think it's because everybody else's was kind of like easy to understand and hers wasn't. Because hers was more of a concept.
Yeah, they showed it to us multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I cared very little about Danny. I like her ability. And I guess that storm in the beginning was her manifesting the demon bear without realizing
illusions,
it.
yeah.
At the same time, I don't feel like they really gave her enough to work with.
Fair.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the majority of characters are weak, but Lily is pretty strong. Mm-hmm. So I was focused on the writing of this movie, wondering like, I see events happening and I see these traumas in past memories and greatest fears being physically manifested as threats and not just illusions. But why am I not that invested in this movie? And that was just what was all going on in my head. Like, this seems like it should be better than it is.
The writing.
I think Ileana was received the best because I think partially due to Anya Taylor-Joy. Because if anyone else was playing her, I don't think it would have. Miss Taylor-Joy really put her acting skills in this movie.
Yeah, so there's two actresses that like I loved in this movie, and one of them was Anya Taylor-Joy, and the other one is Maisie Williams because I basically watched her grow up. So like I'm just like, oh, it's baby girl. Again, I still feel very uncomfortable watching her kiss or make out with other people on screen. Because I see her as like literally a younger sister, because I literally watched her grow up from a baby almost to a grown ass woman. So I'm just all like, oh, this is kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's like I'm basically watching a younger sibling, like have relations. And I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah. Pretty much every character had an accent. Like Maisie's was Scottish in this one, and then Liliana was Russian.
We both thought that she was Irish.
Her last name is Rasputin, so I would assume that it would be.
Yeah, it sounded Russian. I was like,
be Russian.
Oh, of course.
Now, Rain being interpreted as Irish instead of Scottish, that's fair, because unless you know the character of Rain, you're not going to know that she's Scottish and not Irish.
It's because the accents have a big difference.
Yeah, it sounded like an Irish accent, which is why I thought it was Irish at first.
Yeah, her accent didn't sound very Scottish. It sounded very Irish.
Yes. Unless they repurposed the character as an Irish descent as in Scottish, which if that's the case, it makes sense with Catholicism because the Scottish are not Catholic at all. The Irish are.
Irish are, yeah.
So if that was the case, they should have referenced that, that she's Irish instead of Scottish would have made more sense with the whole Catholic thing.
Yeah. But
I guess, okay, cool. Headcanon, she's Irish. Great. For the movie. In this movie, she's Irish.
I'm so fucking confused.
Right?
Pretty much all I have to say about the movie itself. I think they tried to do something with Bobby where it's like, we don't know what his power is, and he kind of keeps it hidden, but it's supposed to be like, I don't want to get too hot because I might hurt people again.
Like they were building up something to that, but it kind of just, it didn't have the same punch.
Yeah.
Didn't have the same impact.
Yeah.
He did have like one of the things that I remember like the most with his character, other than like the pool scene, was whenever he's just like washing dishes, you know, and one of the smiling men come up and he goes wah, and like just like fucking shoots his ass, and I was just all like, I was like, damn, those reflexes though, like good on you, dude. Because I would have been like, ah, and then did it. He just went boom, and I was just like, okay, dude. I was just like, nice.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything more to add to this.
I was also very happy with the dragon.
Lockheed, yeah.
Yeah, like I literally was like, it's a dragon! Ah!
Like nothing better happened to that poor puppet, to that dragon. And then it becomes real and you're like, it's animate.
Yeah, that's what I was just like. I was like, if that bear eats that dragon, I'm gonna be so mad. I was like, don't you hurt that dragon. Best character in the whole movie.
He had like 2 minutes of screen time.
10 out of 10 favorite, like number one favorite.
And it's weird they added him in here with Liliana.
Yeah.
Because technically he's a companion to Kitty Pryde.
Oh, yeah. Well, not Ileana. I mean, in her background story, yeah.
In the context of the movie, it makes sense. It makes sense. Because I was like, what the fuck? But in the context of the movie and Ileana's backstory, it makes sense. So,
well, yeah, but in the comic, she forms a bond with Storm and Cat. And so I can see why she has that connection with Lockheed. So, like, that's like.
I mean, that's giving too much credit to the writers, but I can see where you're going with it.
You know what? I'm just, here. Like, that's what I'm trying to do. Be like, you know what? Let's try.
You're trying to clean things up, housekeeper?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, I'm trying to do my job. I've made too much of a mess in these past few movies. It's time for me to be nice, okay?
Meanwhile, I just thought of something. This weirdly has some scenes that play out like the one that flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Wait, what? Say that one more time.
Have you ever seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
No.
There's some scenes that weirdly play out like this, where it's like, okay, like I think there's the one scene where the Dr. Reyes goes to sleep and then they just fool around. And in that movie, and in Cuckoo's Nest, they have a similar scene where the nurses are, I think, they all have gone home for that night, and then everyone just fools around. But what the heck is his name? It's Jack Nicholson, his main character.
Nicholas.
I was gonna say Nicolas Cage, but it's like, no, he's not in that movie. But the only difference is that Jack Nicholson doesn't get smothered in his sleep in this movie because he had a lobotomy and he can't do anything anymore. But there is a Native American who does get a water fountain, and he like throws it through a window and he's able to leave the facility. That's the end of that movie. And it's a sweet moment.
That's the end of that movie.
No, it's a good movie. Basically, it's like, here's how nurses are treating these psychiatric patients like trash. And then Jack Nicholson shows up and he's like, they don't need to be treated like this. You gotta show them how wonderful life is. And he spends his time talking with this big Native American guy who claims that he is deaf and mute. And the twist is he's faking it the entire time. And Jack's like, man, you've really got me. But other than that, what's next?
Oh, what's next?
Do you have anything more, housekeeper?
Not really.
Okay, I will go ahead and mess up the sheets that you just made.
No, don't do that.
Yeah. Because I did not like this movie. I thought it was a mess. I could definitely tell that it felt like two or three different writers were writing this movie, and they just could not get along, and it felt so just weird at points. The editing was off on some points that just didn't make sense in the context of the story. But whatever. My biggest pet peeve was the fucking accents.
That's fair. It's not my favorite movie of the mutants. Like anything that has to do with mutants, it's not my favorite. I'm not going to say that. But I was like, you know what? Let's just, just throw them a bone.
Play devil's advocate.
Maybe they knew that she had a connection with Kat, and
I think that's just giving away too much
stretching.
Yeah. Hot take: X-Men and Wolverine's origins is better.
That's a goddamn lie. Ew. That Deadpool alone gave that movie the worst one. Ew. That's a hate crime.
Go ahead, at me.
I will.
So yeah, that's my mess that I'll make. Oh yeah, accents. No, I don't think any of the people who are doing the accents were doing them right. Or they couldn't keep them up through like the duration of the movie. They were going up and down with the accents, and it bothered me. I was way too worried about that to really care about the characters.
Sometimes they sounded American, and then other times they sounded Southern American. Like, wait, kid, Sam, are you from Texas? Are you from Virginia? Are you from Tennessee?
And
different Southern accents.
I love Anya Taylor-Joy. I think she's a great actor, but she just didn't keep up the Russian accent very well. Like there were points where she just sounded like herself, like in from the menu. Like, anyways, that's my takes.
I mean, it's kind of tough to pull off a Russian accent.
Yeah.
Without people thinking of Gru now. So, like, Gru.
Oh, Gru. Okay.
Yeah, like from fucking Despicable Me.
Yeah.
I have a Russian character, and I had to try and learn how to do a Russian accent, and her accent's not that good either. She does not sound Russian.
Yeah, it doesn't help that I do have Russian friends that I speak to on almost a daily basis. So
I have one Russian friend, and I have not talked to her in years. I should probably catch up with her. Sunny, I'm sorry. I love you still.
So, my thoughts on this movie. I was looking forward to this film hardcore when it first got announced to its release date. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. It's like, nah. I love parts of this movie. Like, I love how they just dove into Danny and Rain being gay. I love that because that's been an issue with Danny in the comics forever, that they just won't let her be gay because comics publication is all kinds of weird with having gay characters. Well, he's back in like the early 90s and stuff, late to mid 90s or whatever.
Now that you say that, I do need to add in that there were a couple scenes where they were in a rec room, and on the TV they had Buffy the Vampire Slayers, but only the scenes with Willow and Tara. The only
the gay scenes.
Only the gay scenes are really driving home.
Clear about Rain's feelings.
They're really just driving home.
They really wanted to make it gay. They should have fucking put Xena on that bitch.
But I love that. Danny, I wanted more that character more fleshed out. She kind of was just like, "Hi, I'm here." Because Danny in the comics is a badass. And for God's sake, she's currently a Valkyrie. Like, but the movie, she was very much too
here.
Huh?
She's a baby, or she's still
I know, but she was like the most two-dimensional out of everybody. She was kind of just flat. And that's not the actress's fault, that's the writing. Yeah, and she's the main character.
Yeah,
she was the Goku of this movie.
Oh God.
Really powerful, but not much character development.
Speaking of the cuckoos, if they actually add the Stepford cuckoos in here, oh my God. those of you who don't know, separate cuckoos are a hive mind of telepaths. They're all like clones of a mutant called Emma Frost, but there's like 5 of them, and they're all kind of like a hive mind. It's very cool, but they're known as the separate cuckoos. So every time you say cuckoo, I think of that. Think of them because it would have been a good fit for this movie too. But Danny seemed the most 2-dimensional of everybody.
I agree.
Ileana is so the roster for the New Mutants, everybody was in the original group of the New Mutants except for Ileana. Ileana wasn't one of the original members of the New Mutants. It was Karma, which Karma is another lesbian character. I get why they chose Ileana because Ileana, everyone knows, for the most part, Ileana is a lot more well-known than Karma is.
Well, she did join the New Mutants.
Yes, but she wasn't part of the original group because the movie's about the original group, which everyone in there is part of the original group except for Ileana. They switched out Ileana and Karma because Karma was with all the rest of the characters.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But I get why they did that because Ileana is more well known and more of a favorite, I guess. And Karma's kind of that character needs to get more love. So I get why they did that. And of course I guess I was actually thinking if they're going to actually connect her back to Colossus, but they never really did.
I wish they did.
I wish they did. Sunspot was interesting. I like the whole, we don't know what his power is. He's afraid to use them. That was kind of cool. But when they actually showed it, it was kind of like flat again. Yeah. They could have really done something with that, but they didn't. Cannonball, I love Sam. He seems like such a sweetheart, and that just beats himself up for the fact of what he did. Cannonball is one of my favorite characters in this movie. Wolfsbane or Rain is up there because I think they fleshed her out just as much as Ileana. Because those two seem to be the most fleshed out characters in this movie, pretty much. So
I feel like because you saw more scenes with those two.
Yeah. What I find interesting, and this is kind of symbolism, dude, with Marvel stuff, how Rain was called a witch. To me, that's kind of a callback. Again, it's probably giving too much credit to the writers, but that's kind of a callback to. So in Marvel, there's a place called Otherworld, which is like Avalon, King Arthur, all that stuff. They call mutants in Otherworld witch breeds. So I'm like, was that a reference to the mutants being called witch breeds? Or is that just giving too much credit to the authors, to the writers?
I feel like that's a bit of a stretch.
Because I would do that, but I think for this film's sake, that's a bit of a stretch. That's giving too much credit to the writers.
Yeah, that is giving too much credit. I think they just went, religious, and religious people don't like witches,
right.
Which she turned me into a newt.
That's giving too much credit to the writers. That's just me. Like, they just got lucky on that connection.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Reyes Trader, the character was kind of butchered in the movie because she's much better in the comics. Butchered, assassinated that character. Trash. Outside that, if I see Essex one more time, it better be with fucking Sinister. Kevin Feige, I swear to God.
Can hold on a minute.
Hold on a minute.
Hold on a goddamn minute.
What?
Oh my God.
What?
I love how they didn't have her as black.
What?
And that's completely sarcasm because in the comics, this like woman is very dark skinned and has dreadlocks. Very textured hair.
Yes. Well, Rez in the comics, she's oh God, what is she? She's Latin. She's a Latin. Raised in the Bronx. She's Latin American, Puerto Rican. Looks like. Mm-hmm. She's probably mixed, but yeah, they didn't go that.
She may be
direction.
mixed, but she looks. She looks like she is supposed to be, like she's supposed to be a darker skin color than the woman that portrays her.
Yeah, they went more of an actual like Central American approach than like a Obviously, they didn't choose the right actress to play Reyes, or they were going in a different direction. Which, again, it's a bastardization of the character, in my opinion.
I feel that's kind of racist. Just saying.
I mean, I agree, because it was a good opportunity to have someone else play that role. But whatever, right? Didn't write it. Obviously, they didn't read a book either, so. All right. So rating system. 1 out of 5 mutants.
X genes.
Even better. 1 out of S6 facilities.
No,
you're right, genes.
2.5 Lockheeds out of 5.
That works.
Okay.
How much?
Lockheeds. 2.5.
Lockheeds 2.5. So Bunyip is 2.5. Got it.
I'll go with two Lockheeds.
Yeah, for the reasons I mentioned before.
Okay.
Same.
2.5.
Yeah, I'm probably going to stick with 2. I was going to give it a higher score, but then whenever I found out that you were going to have Rosario Dawson play as Reyes, and you didn't have Rosario Dawson play fucking Reyes, are you fucking kidding me? You were going to have that queen icon? You would have had 3 great actresses, and you chose this bitch ass Alice. No, I'm sorry. I don't know who you are.
Whoa.
No apologies. Keep going.
No. I will take that back. I don't know her. I don't know this lady.
I'll delete it in post.
We need to have a third pop-off episode.
No. Hold on. I don't know this lady, but fucking Rosario Dawson? You replace Rosario Dawson?
Rosario Dawson would have been a better fit for the character.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, she would have been a better fit.
I was just like, excuse me, she played the iconic Mimi in Rent? Hello? And excuse me, wasn't she also, like she was also of that kind of descent as a character in that film too? That would have been the perfect fucking y'all fucked up. Like, I'm sorry, whoever was in charge of casting, y'all fucked up big time. You're fired.
You're fired. We got 2 Lockheeds, 2 Lockheeds, and 2.5 Lockheeds.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this movie 3 Lockheeds. Like, it's good, but it has its major problems. I wanted more, but I have a love for this movie. Like, I have a love for the Suicide Squad. For the first one, like I know it's not that great, but I still love it.
Trash,
kind of
trash movie.
But I like the first Suicide Squad. It's very much. This movie is very much that. Like, I love parts of this movie. Like, I love parts of the Suicide Squad. But I hope to see these characters again in the MCU with them doing an actual like New Mutants movie or a series or something. Because I think these characters, the group New Mutants, is really good. And I would love to see a Disney Plus series would be perfect for them. Because they go through all kinds of antics and chaos, and I love it.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I can't wait to see what Marvel does with these characters as well as the X-Men just in general. But with the context of the New Mutants, I'm curious to see what they do with them. Because I guarantee you they're going to bring back Ileana at least, if not everyone else. For sure. So, but yeah, so 3 stars, 3 Lockheeds. So 2, 2.5, and a 3. That's averages to what?
A 2.3.
A 2.3 Lockheeds out of 5. So thank you all for listening to today's podcast. This movie is on Disney Plus if you care to watch it. It's a fun watch to watch once if you like Ileana or Rain.
Or if you don't know anything about mutants whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, this movie had its good points to it. Or if you want to see some gayness, you know,
just a little bit. It's just sprinkled in there.
A little bit. It's a sprinkle. But yeah, so go check it out on Disney Plus. Thank you guys for listening to today's episode. Catch y'all next time as we talk about something else. Bye. I just want to see Mr. Sinister for fuck's sake. Is that too much to ask?
Yes.
Apparently.